The political problem in the United States is not the Republican Party, nor is it the Democratic Party. It does not matter who wins the election tomorrow. The problem is not the greater evil, whichever party that is supposed to be. Nor is the problem that, out of fear of the greater evil, people throw their support behind the lesser evil. The problem is not the two-party system. We don't have a two-party system. In reality, there is only one political party in this country, the Capitalist Party. The illusion that its Democratic and Republican wings, neither of which are worthy of their name, are opposed, can only be sustained so long as there is no meaningful alternative. But however plausible, it is an illusion nonetheless. The Capitalist Party stands for the economic slavery of the working people. Working people have no party of their own, fighting for their emancipation from slavery, for economic freedom, for each and every person on Earth. There is no one to teach them that their slavery can be abolished, and that they have it in their power to emancipate themselves. There is no one to teach them how they might win this freedom, and to lead them in this great cause. So the working people, benighted in ignorance of the freedom they might wield, learn to accept and tolerate, and sometimes even to love their slavery, and forget that they are slaves at all. They learn to call their slavery freedom because they have no idea of the true freedom they could possess, if only they learned to want it. The two wings of the Capitalist Party differ only on how best to maintain the slavery of the working people, and what meager promises they must make to the slaves to balance out the threat of abject misery, degradation, and starvation that hangs over their heads as punishment for disobedience. The Capitalist Party is not malign for seeking to preserve this slavery, or uniformly dishonest in seeking to improve the conditions of the slaves. Neither the Democrats nor the Republicans are evil, lesser or greater. At least not all of them. Probably not even most. They are simply and incurably ignorant. Donald Trump is not evil. Joe Biden is not evil. They sincerely want what is best for the working people, and for all people. They agree on that much, even if they don't agree exactly on how to achieve this. But they also agree that nothing better can be done for the working people than to maintain their slavery, while making it somewhat more bearable. The partisans of the prevailing order believe with all their hearts that nothing more than such slavery is possible, though they are no more able than the workers to recognize it as the slavery it is. They honestly believe that working people are incapable of living otherwise than as servile dependents, one mistake away from utter ruin. And the working people prove them right, so long as they fail to want to live otherwise, and to fight for their emancipation. Workers who vote for the Capitalist Party, whichever wing, vote in support of their own slavery. That support is cheaply bought, for promises that are empty, no matter how sincerely made. Workers who abstain from voting likewise support their own slavery, only passively, acquiescing to it without a fight. The only hope for abolishing this slavery is if the working people unite, organizing themselves to exercise the power they already possess as the immense majority of society, but that they do not wield consciously. The yoke that keeps the working people enslaved is the ever-looming threat of unemployment and the poverty and depravity that result therefrom. But unemployment only threatens and can only threaten them, because they themselves do not control the means of employment, the means by which they could, and by right should, employ themselves. Should the working people lay claim to the means of employing themselves, they would thereby emancipate themselves from the slavery of dependence and servility, and become the masters of their own conditions, of their own lives. They would then direct the development of industry, to improve the conditions of their work, and to lighten the burden of their labor. They would ensure that every single person on the earth equally enjoys economic freedom, the freedom to provide for themselves by their own efforts. They would enjoy this freedom not as lone individuals, but in concert with the whole of humanity, sharing all the fruits of human cooperation, of science and technology and art. The working people already drive industry through their cooperative labor, but they are not conscious masters of industry, and so remain slaves to it. They are not so, and do not strive to become so, because they do not even imagine this to be possible, let alone achievable. The task of a socialist party would be to enlighten the working people, to teach them that to emancipate themselves from their economic slavery, to unite as a class, and together become the masters of industry, and hence of their own lives, is not only possible, it is their destiny. A socialist party would stand in resolute opposition to the capitalist party, observing no difference of any substance between its various fractions. It would oppose the entire social order that this party is united in upholding, an order based upon the slavery of the working people. It would stand unambiguously for the rule of the working people, for their mastery over industry, for their collective self-employment, for their emancipation from the servility and dependency and degradation of their present condition of economic slavery. A socialist party would teach the working people that if they unite around the task of taking political power into their own hands, and hence of consciously wielding the economic power they already possess, but that presently dominates them because they are not able to imbue it with conscious direction, if they were to unite, not a force on earth could hope to thwart them. The Capitalist Party represents nothing but the impotence and ignorance of the working people. Their strength can only wither as that of the Socialist Party grows, as the working people learn what they can and must do, and organize themselves to wield the power to do it. This is a power they already possess, but that they can only wield together. So long as the working people are divided against each other, so long as they are not consciously and actively seeking to realize their common power by uniting in common cause, they will remain slaves. Some may be more or less comfortable and complacent in their slavery, while many others are ground to dust by the miserable circumstances they are bound to endure. The former are nonetheless never safe from falling into the condition of the latter. We need a socialist party to rally the working people to the cause of their own emancipation. Without anyone representing this emancipation as a possibility, and one worth fighting for, the working people will remain ignorant of it, and hence will fail to recognize their slavery for what it is. They will live and die and never know what life could have been, generation after generation, thrown into discard. Socialists must refuse to give even a passing thought to support for the capitalist party, and to thereby mislead themselves and anyone foolish enough to listen to them into thinking socialism has anything at all in common with the prevailing slavery of the working people, no matter what politicians or governments may call themselves. Socialists should be seeking to build a socialist party as the first and only step forward. Those seeking to win support for the capitalist party, no matter which wing, have no business calling themselves socialists. They are not socialists. They are not for the abolition of wage slavery, but for its perpetuation. Only by building a socialist party to educate and lead the working people to pursue their own emancipation, by opposing the two-faced capitalist party at every step in the name of taking political power into their own hands, will this slavery finally be abolished, and the long-promised dawn of freedom finally break through the dark storm clouds of history. Socialists must recognize our duty and do it. Those who would shirk this duty, whatever their excuse, ought to step aside. They stand in the way of the destiny of the human race and long overdue emancipation of the working people. We need a socialist party.